too small, I got big dreams.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Pun Fun, where we have fun with the puns. My name is Ryan, and we're going to check out episode 3 of the Marvel series Moon Knight. If you haven't yet seen episode 3 of the Marvel series Moon Knight, please be sure to do so, as there are major spoiler alerts ahead. Now, before we get into it, if it's your first time on the channel, we definitely suggest you hit that subscribe button this way you stay on top at all times for everything and everything, just like how we called it for the Heliopolis. Now, Heliopolis, as we've mentioned, is a pocket universe where all the Egyptian gods reside. I mean, and in this case, they called it the OverVoid, which are synonymous within the comic books as well. We'll get into more details and information of where that place actually, one, what does it represent, the importance of that place in terms of where the story is going. We're also going to talk about Khonshu and his desperation, and how that actually brings us to our next point, which is we have Marc Spector, we have Stephen Grant, and now we have this third character that got unlocked. This here is Jake Lockley, as we've mentioned. However, they're twisting it just a bit. We don't know much of his backstory compared to, the cab driver that we know within the books. Now, because of Khonshu's desperation and because of Marc Spector's deteriorating mind, it could be Khonshu's, last resort, and we'll get into that in a couple seconds with more information of why he's resorting to this. We're also going to talk about, lastly, Layla, how important and crucial she's going to be towards the next episode, because, hey, what is Marc Spector's fate, seeing that Khonshu is actually, locked away within the Heliopolis, or in this case, the OverVoid. Let's get into it. We're also going to tie in about, those little Easter eggs as we go along, but for the most part, we're going to go into heavy with this theories. Now, first of all, we're going to talk about the OverVoid. It was very cool, very obviously in the Great Pyramid of Giza, we have the Heliopolis, which was meant to be a portal that you go into and you get transported to Heliopolis. However, that can actually be what it is. So, kind of like, I don't know if it's Disney that did this, where you get on this elevator and it kind of seems like you're going all the way into space, and in the end you're in this restaurant in space, or this hot hotel in space. Anyway, where I'm getting at is that once you go into the Great Pyramid of Giza, or into that, portal type door that opens up, once you go into there, you're actually transported, if you will, into the Heliopolis. So while you think you're still within only the Great Pyramid of Giza, they have actually been within the walls of Heliopolis, or the pocket universe. This is where the Egyptian gods reside. Obviously not the exact location, because they're located in the Heliopolis, if not aka the OverVoid, and they're Skyping, if you will, via these avatars. Amongst the gods that were there, we had Horus, we had Osiris, you have Isis, you have Tefnut, you also had Hathor. That's the one that's kind of helping Khonshu and Marc find a better location in order to find where Ammit is located. And we also had, obviously, Khonshu. Now, when it comes to Arthur was able to come in and make his plea while he was possessed by Khonshu, and be able to speak his own grounds, I guess. At first I thought he was possessed by Ammit, but then I realized, no, if he was possessed by Ammit, it's not just the body he's trying to resurrect. So who is he? What resides within him? Also, is the council also persuaded by his words, seeing that they have been discarded by mankind, to reside in their own little universe? Are they ready to now bring out this monster to be like, hey, you guys do need us, and have us be praised and worshipped once again? So that's another little subject that is kind of touchy. Also, why they'd be very willing in order to have Khonshu be, banished, if you will. And I think Khonshu was aware of all this. He kind of knew, hey, I have to go ahead, push the boundaries, get things rolling, by having, showing the projection of what that night was the last straw, of course, and, he gets taken away, as you've seen the episode. Now, him being banished, does this mean Marc is no longer alive? Because Marc had an agreement with Khonshu, hey, I will give you, my life as long as you be my avatar. However, Khonshu is now trapped. Does this mean Marc Spector is dead? That's something we're going to obviously see in the 4th episode. However, if he does kind of remain in limbo or in status, would the other characters that were there in his mind take over? So would Stephen Grant come into play, or would we get to see a full episode maybe of Jake Lockley, who was kind of like the contingency plan? So, like I was mentioning before, Khonshu came to an understanding that he had Marc Spector to push on, the mission. And then basically when Layla came about and then Steven was kind of reasoning with him, he realized that, hey, Marc he's pulling back on his punches. He's not, pursuing the mission anymore. So you have Khonshu kind of break down his mind even more and create this last character who kind of had this like mug look and kind of like a New Yorker kind of, feel and accent to him. And he really is, not holding back and throwing his punches and really going to the extreme. Kind of like the character in the books, he was just more gritty. He wasn't necessarily more violent. So we're going to see where that's coming from and to what degree Jake has, what kind of weight and what plans did Khonshu have for Jake. But you can definitely see that Khonshu's really reached his point of desperation to the point where he's now, segregated even more the mind just to get his point across, breaking all the rules as much as he can just because of the danger that, lurks ahead and because of his, his mission for vengeance and justice. There is a reason why we get to see all of these gods now, appearing and being more prominent. They can now throw a million of them if they will. It's because we will get the God Butcher, which was confirmed within Thor: Love and Thunder, which will go into Asgard and start, killing up, if not all the Asgardians that are left, or threatening all the gods. And also probably the Egyptian gods as well. And who knows, maybe they may even go into the Shang-Chi world and killing up all of their deities as well. So it's going to be quite the massacre. It's going to be quite the, messed up world. You have Tiamat that's kind of like sticking out of the world. You have all these gods that are being destroyed. It's going to be a wreck for this universe, and I can only imagine what kind of judgment is going to be needed to either revert everything back to how it was or just to have this like universe annihilated. Who knows where they're going with this, especially with Multiverse Madness coming up. What is going to be their decision? Like, do we leave this universe to to crumble, or do we start afresh or anew somewhere new? Anyways, we're getting off topic, but definitely a cool conversation, and I'm hoping that they do touch on this on the Multiverse of Madness. And by the way, the tickets are out, so we're not a sponsor, but hey, if you haven't already reserved your tickets, you might want to do that because they're definitely selling out in whichever local theater that you go to. So for the episode itself, we do start off with Marc's perspective, whereas episode 1 and 2 was always going to be Steven's perspective. And in this case, you kind of see him, and you kind of see him, Jake coming in time to time with the, the mug kind of face. And you also have, in those mirrors, you have Steven. We kind of see that there's a softer side to Marc. He's not just a mercenary and, he's all about the killing. Layla's that softer side, and I think that's what Khonshu's trying to avoid and push away in order to get the mission done. At the same time, like we've mentioned before, Khonshu may want to actually inhibit or reside within Layla and have her be, the next avatar for him, if you will. Will she have a huge action scene or big importance? Of course. I mean, if we do have Marc that's going to lose consciousness or be in limbo, she's going to have to pick up the helm and basically do the job, get the deed done, either find Khonshu or find some way or some, way to I don't know. It's going to be quite the episode because it's going to be really where everybody is at the same point. We don't know anything anymore. The comics have brought us this far, and that is just as much as we'll get as, until Marvel feeds us a bit more. So to wrap things up, we're going to talk about two characters that came directly from the books. These are actually villains. So we have Koresh Beck. In the comics, he's just named Beck. He was the bodyguard that we see at this event that they go to get more information about the tomb. And we also get Midnight Man. So Midnight Man, if you will, is the equivalent to Joker and Batman. Now, there's been a lot of comparison to Batman and Moon Knight. Again, this is back when the 60s where there was that, duality. However, they've definitely changed that and corrected that and made Moon Knight his own character with his own powers and everything and really disassociate himself from Batman. However, if there was a Joker, this would be his Joker. And it's kind of funny that they're like, hey, look at this Joker. So they do really make reference to that and blandly put it out there. So I thought that was cool. So if you've enjoyed this episode or learned anything today, please be sure to hit that like button, and as always, you can hit that subscribe button if you want to stay on top of everything and anything at all times, and to also show your support. And if you know anybody who would enjoy this kind of type of entertainment, please be sure to hit that share button. I mean, we would definitely appreciate it as much. We have the Brian Butt episode that will air on the Easter weekend, so you do not want to miss that. Speaking of monsters and things that go bump in the night, you definitely don't want to miss the extensive details, and actually he does this amazing breakdown for us while we're doing this Zoom call, so you do not want to miss that. And yeah, are you guys excited about episode 4, 5? And I mean, they really kicked it up a notch, and there's a whole 3 episodes left. I can't imagine what they have reserved for us. Anyways, that has been a mouthful. You guys take it easy. Peace.